What's going on, everybody? Well, it's probably loud. Let me turn it down a little. There we go. Not much better, but a little better, nonetheless. Awkward silence. Hey, Alan, Corey, David, Miguel, Richard, Michael, everybody. Dang. All right, let me kick up the see if I can do this YouTube thing again or Facebook thing again. It's gonna halfway freeze here for a second, and then it'll start right back up, and then it'll be. All right, I think it's going. Oh, let's turn the phone down. We should be live on Facebook as well, as long as everything worked this time. I think I'm getting the hang of this. It takes a little more work to stream to both Facebook and YouTube than what I initially anticipated. So let me get Facebook opened up here on the side, and that way I can monitor that too. So that's a good question, Drews. What do you think about a mechanic going back to school after 16 years? So I assume you're talking about after 16 years in the field, you're contemplating going back to school to maybe for some formal education in automotive technology. I think that you will be pleasantly / unpleasantly disappointed. I don't know what schools are out there that are going to offer the kind of, let me say, the level, sorry, YouTube's or Facebook's being finicky over here, the level of quality of instruction that you would be wanting. Get this Facebook chat going up here so I can monitor that as well. Probably be a slow day today on the live stream here. It's both Super Bowl and Steve Scott's doing his live stream over there on his side, and he's doing some stuff with the Virtual Academy. It's called Our Virtual Academy, so that's pretty cool over at Simply Diagnostics. If you haven't checked out his channel, check it out. I think he's got a deal working with them where they've got some kind of discounted rates. It's online training. So when we talk about going back to school after 16 years, that's something that I would contemplate. I think you'd be better served with some aftermarket training. Let's see. Boy, this Facebook thing doesn't work very well. So I don't use it that often. Click for more. Look at that. Or do like Corey, hitting every training class can for the last year or so after nothing for a long time. I did the same thing. I had no training at all. I did for a long time, and then once I kind of got the bug of doing some training, it really, really caught on with me. That's what, I mean, today's title of today's live stream that we're doing right now is the Bumper to Bumper Auto Value Tech Expo in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's next weekend. I'm going to be there. I've made it my mission this year, 2019, to go to every possible training event that I can. I mean, that's my event. That's my goal every year. But I plan to increase over last year. Last year, I think I only did like 2 or 3 training events. This year, I'm doing 3 in February. So it's a big deal. Got Richard Falco and Brandon Steckler over on Facebook. That's I think I got these things all figured out now. So, Bolton Drop Down says, I agree, aftermarket training is more than likely superior. I will wholeheartedly agree. Keys Automotive, over in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, says, go to school every day at the shop, never stop having to learn new things. That is that not the truth, guys? So anyone that's out there in the shop environment, I'm sure, or on the road like me, I'm more so than ever, I'm learning new things every day. Problem is, it can be hard to fill a classroom here on the island. Yeah, Corey, which is crazy. You would think with the population density of what you would have up there and just in your area alone, you should be able to easily fill classrooms where you have one of the highest population densities, and yet you have one of the lowest attendance of aftermarket automotive training, which is really disheartening. But I'm going to be going, yeah, it's very sad. So I'm going to be going to Grand Rapids, Michigan next weekend for the Bumper to Bumper Auto Value Tech Expo. Let me give you guys a rundown. So it is Friday, February the 8th. They're going to open up registration and credential pickup at 10 a.m. And then they're going to start, membership day seminars are open from 1 to 5. And then from 5 until 9, there's a trade show and a reception. And then at 9 o'clock, it all shuts down, including the registration and credential pickup. And then on Saturday is when they start the training classes. So it's just a single day of training classes. It's going to be pretty interesting. There's a really good training lineup. So the schedule for the day is pretty packed too for Saturday. So it's like 6 a.m. coffee and assorted pastry. So we got like a 6 a.m. breakfast. 6:30 registration and credential pickup starts up again. At 8 o'clock a.m. the breakfast shuts down, and at 8 a.m. Trade show and prize drawings are open. And then looks like at 8:30 class block 1 opens up. There's just class block 1 and class block 2. So there's like morning classes and afternoon classes. So morning classes are like 8 to 11:30. And then block 2 is 1:30 to 4:30. So it's going to be, solid 3-hour classes, just like you're used to on like a single evening aftermarket class. There's trade show throughout the day. Casino night opens at 6 o'clock p.m., runs till 9, so just 3 hours. And the classes. So, sorry, I probably missed a bunch of questions and stuff. Let me jump back over here. You guys are having an aftermarket training conversation over there. I'll let that continue. I'll go on. So for training classes for this, there's some management stuff, how to control the money in your business. That's going to be Matt Winslow for ATI, the Automotive Training Institute. There's going to be scopes for diagnostics. That's going to be Scott Manna. Silver Bullet Superstar Techs are looking for, and then it doesn't give the rest of the thing because the website's broken or something. And that's Bob Cooper and Doris Barnes. Then there's going to be the VW Audi Drivability with John Thornton. He's going to be there teaching. Some more trainings, some more, I would say, advisor training or service consultant, which is customer service skills for service consultants. And then, so that's not really that's more of a management training, less of a technical training. And then there's direct injection technologies, there's fuel pump diagnostics with Jim Wilson, telematics, collision repair, color theory, color proofing. That's some collision, a lot of collision repair stuff, pre and post scanning for collision repair, which that kind of applies to all. I think pre and post scans are going to come about even for us regular line technicians when it comes to insurance claim stuff. Diagnosing mechanical issues with traditional and untraditional tools, that's going to be a Ziegler class. And then transmission diagnostics for non-transmission techs with Scott Schotten. That's one of his classes he's taught for a while. I believe he's improved on it. I'm not sure if it's changed much. I've not taken that class ever. Technical business meeting, so some more management stuff. I mean, there's just a ton of class, so just some other names that are in there. The class I will be taking for the morning is Activating Your ADS Knowledge, Diagnosing Driver Assist Systems with Dave Hobbs. There's some Power Stroke classes, EVAP code classes. There's some diesel stuff, Advanced Engine Mechanical with Doug Montgomery. That's a standard class. VVT stuff. CAN networks, hands-on electrical 2-part series. Basic air conditioning. Evolving Evolving Injection Technology, Mastering Advanced Fuel Systems, including GTI. Good Cop or Bad Cop, and he's talking about coil and plug. That's a Ken Zanders class, so that's going to be pretty interesting. Heavy Duty Air Disc Brake Diagnostics, that's going to be like class 4, 5, and 6 stuff. What's New in Mitchell 1, put on by Mitchell 1. So that's the morning stuff. And some of these classes are completely full. Some of them have 40 seats left. So there's a lot of room left. It's in Grand Rapids, Michigan next weekend. The afternoon class, instead of going through all that stuff, I mean, there's a ton of stuff. I'm taking another Dave Hobbs class, 48 volts and beyond, advanced hybrid and variable displacement engine diagnostics. So I'm taking 2 Dave Hobbs classes because I really like Dave Hobbs, and I'm going to enjoy those. But there's just as many classes in the afternoon too, so it's a single day, all that stuff packed in there. So this will be really good. A lot of top name instructors, a lot of really good stuff going on. All right, so on YouTube, the conversation is Pats or Rams. So, and then on Facebook, everyone's silently watching. So that's great. I was hoping for a little more conversation. But everyone's pretty busy. It's Super Bowl weekend. Oh, I said the big S word. So it's the big game. It's the weekend of the big game. Please, nobody turn me in for copyright infringement. Also, Monday, Train by Tex. I'm wearing, I think it's cut out of the shot, but Train by Tex, we're having M. Night Shyamalan and Guillermo del Toro, the both actor and I'm kidding. We're having Pedro de la Torre and Matt Shanahan are going to be our guest speakers. We're going to do some. I think they have each a case study, and then I think Brian has a case study. He'll chime in here in a second. Eagles, Saints. Lots of good conversation over there. Well, anyways, yes, to answer the question, I would think after 16 years in the field that aftermarket or going back to like a post-secondary style instruction at maybe a local technical college or something is going to be lacking in content for you. I think you're going to be very bored with it. It's going to be very difficult. I don't like the structure of most aftermarket, I keep saying aftermarket. I don't like the structure of most post-secondary style like technical schools. They'll spend months and months on engine rebuilding, engine assembly, and as much as I feel like that is super important to understanding, because in my world of doing mobile diagnostics, almost all of my misfire concerns come down to either some kind of faulty ignition component that they believe was good, or a mechanical fault. And when it comes to mechanical fault and trying to diagnose those accurately and efficiently and fast, it all comes down to understanding what's going on with pressure differences and engine assembly. So that's all important. I believe the engine assembly part is important, but I think it's too heavily emphasized when it comes to the training. Brian does have a case study. But that'll be tomorrow at 9 Eastern on the Train by Tex YouTube channel, so that's one of those good things. Hey, David Wagner. But so that's going to be a good conversation tomorrow evening. What I also don't like about the post-secondary training is I don't feel like there's enough emphasis put onto, I would say, real-world electrical diagnosis. So I'm going to try to go talk to a local technical school about volunteering some time to go maybe instruct, if they would let me, a couple classes. I'd like to test out my J2534 class there for the students, just give them a run. I want to introduce the class to some very novice technicians and see what the hang-ups are, what the misunderstandings, what maybe some of the terminology I use that they're confusing. I want to see where it's lacking in its clarity for instructing to a novice technician. And when I see that, when I see how that works out, I'd like to adjust the class. Sorry, I was laughing at Brian Ragland. And that's, Anyways, my major gripe about electrical instruction is that too much emphasis is put on Ohm's law, and how it's taught and how I've heard it taught many times is always measuring the resistance in a circuit and knowing the static voltage and then assuming a current based off of that to determine if the circuit's working properly or not. When in the real world, especially when we're talking about like lighting circuits or solenoids or any of that stuff, the resistance is, whatever static resistance measurement you take is completely obsolete once you energize the circuit. So I don't think understanding Ohm's law, the calculation really well, has a whole lot of benefit as much as understanding the correlation between current and resistance does. Knowing how current resistance are correlated and then understanding how voltage can affect that is the most important part. Because I think I go months easily without ever doing an Ohm's law calculation. But I don't go a single day without referencing a resistance to current relationship as it pertains to voltage. I know that sounds like I'm saying the same thing over, but simply understanding that when resistance increases, current will decrease as long as voltage is not changed in the circuit, and the voltage increase and decrease affecting overall that resistance and current is the only thing that's important in the situations that I run into every day. So I say that because I'm sure there's some point where measuring resistance is highly important. But when you think about a resistance measurement as a testing method, if you measure the resistance of, let's say, a VVT solenoid, like for instance in a 2-liter GM engine, if the resistance measurement is good, is the solenoid proven good? No. That's one piece of the puzzle. You can have good resistance in a completely failed solenoid. But conversely, if you measure the resistance and it's out of resistance, is the part bad, and is that definitely the problem? No, but most likely. So resistance could be a definitely bad, can be a definitely bad condemnation, or a static resistance could mean it might be good. So there's not a lot of, I don't put a lot of weight in a resistance reading. Trained by Tech says static resistance doesn't include the variables of heat that can alter resistance. Current does not include variable of poor connections. Exactly. Once the circuit is live and you're utilizing it, you start running current through that circuit, the resistance measurement you took cold static off is completely wrong. If you don't believe me, if you're a novice technician and you're hearing this and you're thinking, well, this isn't right, this isn't what I was taught, for yourself, go measure the resistance of a bulb. Okay? Put that bulb in the circuit, turn the circuit on, measure the current and the voltage, and do your math and tell me if the resistance number you got before equals to what you did. It does not. You will get a much lower current rating than what you initially measured, because your resistance is going to skyrocket and exponentially increase the moment you apply heat to that thing. The moment that bulb comes on and energizes and that light comes on and that filament heats up, that resistance number is going to, through the roof, quadruple at least. Which point, your current that you thought you anticipated seeing by doing Ohm's law is going to be way lower in actual current going through the circuit than what it did when you did the math. So just understanding the relationship is what I find to be much more important. And that's just my anecdotal thought of it. I know that most technicians are going to agree with me, but I have to say it's anecdotal because it's what I see every day. And I'm just diagnosing and doing module programming every day, and that's about it. I do quite a bit of key stuff too, but for the most part I'm diagnosing. Most days are a 70-30 diagnostic heavily, 30% module programming. Friday was like a 80% module programming, 20% diagnosis day. It was very odd, but regardless, that's my thought. So I say that, so that's why I push towards the aftermarket training, like this Tech Expo I'm going to in Grand Rapids, like TST big event in New York, like Vision in Kansas City. If you can only make one, if you tell yourself this year I'm going to do one training event, I'm going to do one really, I'm going to focus on going to one training event. If you can, make it to Vision in Kansas City. Inrush current can cause problems. Exactly, Richard. The moment you turn a circuit on, depending upon the circuit, especially if we're talking about like a single-phase motor or even DC. We deal with DC every day in the automotive world. the majority of what we work on is DC. The end result in the circuit is DC, but there are a lot of AC circuits getting more and more every day in cars. And I agree. Understanding how it works is important, so you do need to go through some of that Ohm's Law stuff. But I think in the last year even, I don't think I even sat down and did one time did I ever actually use Ohm's Law formula. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying understanding the relationships are 90% of that battle. So I think you would be better yielded learning the relationships and then getting some, I don't know, you would get a lot farther going and getting some known goods. Actually getting hands-on experience working on circuits, measuring current of known goods, looking at current waveforms, looking at how the systems are functioning, and then easily be able to point out when there's a problem. Once you're so used to seeing what a known good looks like and you can anticipate what it should look like, the moment something is out of ordinary, you will definitely see the difference. You will immediately know that we have a problem in the circuit. And then understanding the relationship between current, resistance, and voltage will definitely give you a big insight to where you should start looking. So it's all important. I just don't think there's enough emphasis put on real world training when it comes to electrical stuff. And that's my big soapbox stand for today. I think if I was to spit it out, experience. Yeah, experience. And I hate saying that because I don't want anyone to say, well, are you trying to tell me that that you have to be a technician for a long time and then that's the only way you know you're good? No, I'm just saying, but it's hard to beat experience. It's not the only thing that matters. Trust me, there's lots of technicians that have been doing it 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and that have a lot less knowledge and a lot less understanding of the system than some technicians that are just a couple years in the field. So it's not an end-all, tell-all, but it is really difficult to beat the experience of doing it for so long. And it depends how that experience is used. If that experience is used being the silver bullet guy, like, oh, this symptom always means this part, so we're going to put it on there without any testing, then your experience is null. You are only as good as what you are because you're lucky at this point. Thank you, Wyatt. I appreciate that. Tommy. Tommy, that's hilarious. Tommy says, I'm sleeping with Keith Perkins. Well, we are going to be in the same hotel in Grand Rapids. I think our rooms are separate though, buddy. The one thing you can't teach is experience. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's kind of my soapbox on it. But anyways. Jeez, Dave. So that's my big spiel, but I would implore you guys, especially if you're in the automotive industry, if you're on Facebook and you're not in the automotive industry and you're watching me, you must be really bored, and you can't tell me the commercials for the big game aren't good. I'm excited myself, just for the commercials. I got a bunch of snack food just so I can sit on the couch and veg out. So. Anyways, I'm getting distracted by the chat. The big part is I want to urge you guys about that. That's going to be a really good event. Although it's a single day of training, there's some really good instructors going to be there in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is my first time to go to this particular event, the Bumper to Bumper Auto Value Tech Expo. I want to thank Pedro De La Torre for telling me about it, actually. Him and Tommy Oliva both mentioned to me something about it, and then I got Tommy to give me all the info. You'll always learn something new every day if you actually want to learn. Absolutely. And that's why, and then here's my sales pitch. That's why I do the training that I do every week, and I've got about 40 guys that are joining me every week for this training over on Patreon, and it's I can tell you this. I've written quite a bit of curriculum over the last couple years, and I have never learned as much about a subject until I decided to write a class about it. So every time I feel like I'm lacking knowledge in a subject, I will decide to write a class about it, even if it's just a beginner's class. The foundations are the most important, because this is a line I'm stealing from Jim Morton, and I'm telling you right now, if I could change the name of my company, it'd be You Gotta Be Effing Kidding Me Automotive, because every time I go in for a diagnosis, especially misfires, misfires and electrical circuits that have some consistently in-op circuit, I'll figure the issue out, and it always comes down to a lack of fundamentals, a lack of understanding of fundamentals, either electrical, mechanical, just understanding the suck, squeeze, bang, blow part of it. That I'm telling you, every time I diagnose something, I usually pick it up pretty quick. I look like some kind of rock star because I just come in and do it. I'm not that good. I simply have a clear head about the situation. I get to come into those problem vehicles unaffected by all the problems that car is given the technician leading up to that point. A technician will work on a car for 5 and 6 hours sometimes, and they may or may not have installed a bunch of parts to repair it, and I can come in and kind of look at it and do a little bit of analysis to determine the problem pretty quickly, and it's usually some kind of basic that's been missed. So don't get me wrong, I get the head scratchers. I had a pretty hardcore Mercedes the other day that really got me. I worked a solid hour and 20 minutes on this thing, so I was in trouble myself. If you get into a diagnosis, especially like, for instance, a misfire, the most calls I get are misfire diagnosis. And the call is usually, hey, we put plugs, we put coils or wires or distributor or whatever on this thing. It's got good compression, good spark, good fuel. We don't know what the problem is. Well, to be honest, it's missing one of those. It can't have good spark, good fuel, good compression, and good timing and have a misfire. There's got to be something going on there. We may have good compression, static peak compression, but maybe not good compression when we need it and good decompression when we need it. So Wyatt says, anyone here going to TST in March? And then he says, hey, Kuba. So quite a few people are going. Quite a few of us YouTube guys are going, actually. I'm going to be there. Steve Scott from Simply Diagnosis is flying over from the UK. He's going to, or swimming, something. I don't know how he's going to get here. He said he's going to get here, though. DeFazio from New Level Auto is going to be there. I think S&A. Corey at S&A is going to be there. I think, I forget. It's just, most of the New York guys are all going to be there. So it's going to be quite a few people, for sure. Why? Sorry. Anyways, quite a bit going on. I talk about it every time, but so next weekend is Bumper Tech Expo. Then I got an event middle of February. Still don't know if I'm going to talk about that yet, what it is. And then the end of February, we're doing Vision in Kansas City. And then the end of March, we're doing TST, big event in New York City, or Tarrytown, New York. So Jim Morton obviously is going to be there because he's getting his passport. V for Voxel says getting his passport tomorrow. Phil Hallbrook, what state are you in? I don't know who you're talking to, but if you're talking to me, then I'll tell you it's Oklahoma. Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got, Phil, I'm in Oklahoma. I got to get off here. Got to kick it over to Patreon. We're going to go today is the first of the month, so all the technician level and higher patrons get to be in the video, so we're not going to do a part of the J-Box class. Part 11 of the J-Box class will be next weekend, which I will be in Grand Rapids, Michigan, so I've got to find some way to fit in a class in there. I may pre-record it and release it for the Patreon guys, so there may not be. Trained by Tech says, what's in Oklahoma? Me, 2 hunting dogs, 64 other people, 11 cows, 2 trees, and 3 tumbleweeds. That's about it. That's about all we've got in Oklahoma. All right, guys. I got to get off here. Go over to the Patreon channel. We're going to do some tech tips, diagnostic talk, and some tool talk. I'm going to talk about some interesting tools. Anyways, remember to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Hit the bell. If you're on YouTube, on Facebook, hit the thumbs up. That shares it often, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next time, and have fun and stay dirty. I think that's somebody else's saying, so I'm stealing it too. All right, guys.